guys, it's Grace, and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up. I finished 7 books in April. I probably could have finished more had it not been insane the last week of April. I have not finished a book since April 19th. Alright, so the first book I finished is one I've actually been reading for the past couple months, and that's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the illustrated edition. I bought this like 2 years ago. I just kind of set this by my bed, and whenever I had extra time to read, I would read this one, so that's why it took me like a couple months to finish it, but I finished it the first day of April, so it's in this month's wrap-up. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. It's beautiful, of course, like Harry Potter, but also the pictures. I love, oh, there's no pictures on that one, but like they're so pretty. This whole book was just a lot of fun to look through and read again. The next book I finished is Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. This is the 3rd book by Rainbow I have ever read, and it was actually a Prince Honor book, so that's really exciting. This book is kind of one of those first love books. It follows our 2 main characters, Eleanor and Park. No way. And Eleanor is she's kind of the oddball, odd one out. Not really anybody wants to be friends with her. She's a little, like, unique. She's a little chunky, and, like, she just has a hard time making friends. She's poor. Her dad is insane, so she has a hard time making friends because they can never come over to her house or anything like that. And these two, Eleanor and Park, end up sitting together on the bus and kind of form an unlikely friendship, which turns into something more. I thought this book was adorable. I really enjoyed reading it. I'm not a huge contemporary person usually. I really did enjoy it, but just I couldn't stay completely enthralled some of the time. So I just thought it was really cutesy and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.75 out of 5 stars. The next book I finished is Wolf by Ryan Graudin. I don't know, however you pronounce it. This book follows our main character, Yael. I'm not 100% sure if I'm pronouncing that right either. This story takes place in a world where Hitler actually won World War II. Like Hitler's side of the battle won World War II. The US dropped out of World War II or didn't join or something like that, and basically it sucks because now Hitler is ruling this whole European area. Every year there's a race to commemorate Hitler's winning, and there are members of the Hitler Youth that are part of this race, and Yael is a part of this like rebellion, and she participates in the race in exchange for the winner of last year's race, who is the only girl that has ever raced in it up until this point. So yeah, it's pretty cool because Yael can skin shift, so she shifts to look like last year's winner and gets closer to one of last year's racers, and her brother also ends up being in the last year's winner, ends up being in the race as well, so they're both kind of keeping an eye on her, and they're both like, something's different about you, so she kind of has to keep up appearances and also try to win this race because the winner gets an audience with Hitler and she wants to kill Hitler, and it just goes insane from there. I'm not going to say anything more because that would be spoilery. But anyway, I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. So the next book I finished is the 2nd book, Blood for Blood by Ryan Graudin, and this one was also very good. This is a duology, for those of you who don't know, so this is the last book, and I thought it really tied things up nicely, but in a way that made you like, what? Like, I did not expect the ending of this book at all, and all the like twists that kept happening, so this book kind of kept me guessing. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because it's the 2nd book, so I can't really tell you anything about it, but I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I finished is Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. I love Veronica Roth. I loved the Divergent trilogy, and when I saw that she was releasing another book, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes me so happy. So I, of course, had to pick it up, but I was really looking forward to this book, and I kept putting it off because I was like, well, it's the first book in a series, and I hate reading a book, loving it, and then having to put it down because the next book isn't out yet. So I ended up reading this one because I needed something to read. I was just like, well, what can I read? I don't want to start a series, and I don't really have any standalones. So it's like, well, this is the first book in a series, and I have been looking forward to it. So I finally picked it up. Loved this one as well. I had the motivation of another book coming in the mail to get this one read, and also it was just so good. It follows our two main characters, Akos and Syra. I don't know how to explain it. So basically, Syra she's like an assassin and torture device for her brother who rules Shotet, I believe is the name of it. And then Akos is like he comes from a family, a Thuvasite family, and like she created all these words, Veronica Roth did, that they're like new words, new planets, awesome names like these. I thought it was really, really fun. I enjoyed it. So basically, Akos kind of crosses paths with Syra because Akos gets kidnapped as like in the first couple chapters, pages, whatever, of the book. And their paths cross and they form an alliance, and it's kind of awesome. Really awesome. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I flew through it. I loved the characters. They really stuck with me when I wasn't reading it. I was like, I wonder what's gonna happen next. And I'm really excited for the next book in this series. And I believe it's actually a duology. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it may be a duology. Don't quote me. Alright, the next book I read is probably going to be no surprise to any of you, and you're probably all going to yell at me for just reading this, but it's 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher. This is just I lent this to a friend. Anyway, so this book is one that I had heard about and I had seen before in stores, and I was just like, that doesn't really sound that exciting to me. It's about a girl who kills herself and leaves all these tapes, and I feel like that's kind of insane. So it sounded sad, and I didn't ever pick it up. And then the Netflix series came out, and everyone was talking about it, and I was like, okay, well, I want to watch the Netflix series because everyone is talking about it, so I want to be in the loop, but I always like to read the book first. So I was like, all right, well, I'll give it a shot. So I ordered it and read it, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I didn't expect to enjoy it. I thought it was just a pumped up, like, book that I wouldn't even enjoy. But I did enjoy it, and it's stuck with me. It's changed me, I feel like. And a lot of people are like, well, who needs a book or TV show to change you as a person? And I'm like, yeah, it is kind of sad that it takes like a TV show to change how people treat others. But I think it's also positive because people who may not realize like just how much their little actions can change people were kind of forced to face that and realize that while watching or reading this. And even though this book came out a long time ago and everyone was pumped about it on BookTube a while ago, like the TV show really made it gain even more interest. And I'm glad the story was shared, even though there are some flaws that I'm kind of uncertain with. I still think it's a great read for anybody, just to open your mind and like show you, hey, like realize that you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. So there's that. And the TV show also, like, there are so many problems with so many different characters that's kind of unrealistic that there's this much drama going on in one school. But basically it was just a lot of fun. It was enjoyable for me to watch, and the last episode had me bawling. So I like feeling books that make me feel something, TV shows that make me feel something. I like those because it just goes to show how well it was written or produced or whatever. Long story short, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Even though there are flaws and there were a lot of things that were just like, ugh, I wasn't sure if I wanted to give it a 5 out of 5 stars, but something that sticks with you, changes you as a person, makes you into somebody else, I can't not rate that a 5 out of 5 stars. I really need to make a book talk on this because so many things, but I just lent it to my friend because she just watched the TV show and she's like, okay, now I want to read the book. So she has it now. And the next book and final book I read in April is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. You're probably like, Grace, you've already read this. Yes, I know, I'm rereading it. I love it. So I didn't think I would enjoy the first book as much since I know what happens at the end of it, and the second book completely changed my opinion on a lot of the characters, and I did find myself this time through being like, oh, I never noticed how much of a dick this person is, or like, wow, you're kind of a butthole. Like little things that I didn't realize reading it the first time because I was just so awestruck. I was like, oh, I love this book. I love Farrah and Tamlin. Blah, blah, blah. And just a lot of my opinions have changed since reading the second book. So anyway, this book follows our main character, Farrah, and she's kind of all alone. She's a peasant in a poverty-struck family, and she has to provide for them. So she goes hunting out in the woods, and one day she encounters this giant wolf, which she kills, and it ends up being a fairy. So, she has to go live in the spring court of the fairy lands, and that is like her punishment for it. And a lot of things happen, and there's Tamlin and Farrah and Lucien and all this stuff, and it's really good. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. The third book comes out today! Today! That's right, you heard me right. It comes out today. I haven't finished rereading the second book yet, and I pre-ordered it, so it's technically in the mail still. It's supposed to get here tomorrow. So, yeah, I need to finish the second book and start reading the third, but I have so many books I have to finish for school, and our last day of school is May 19th, which is coming up. We only have 11 days left of school, and I have two and a half books. Yeah. I'm a little stressed. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I don't remember if I said that. It was wonderful. I enjoyed rereading it and delving back into this world. I've been wanting to reread this since I finished it the first time, like the first 2 books, and I finally just caved and picked it up because I wanted nothing to do with any other book besides this series. Alright, please like this video if you enjoyed it, comment below what you read this month, in April, whatever, and subscribe to my channel so you never miss another video. I'll see you next time. Bye!